we have worked really hard on at the legal page, and it's taken us years, I would say 2 to 3 years, for my team to be like, Paige, we've got this. Please don't review this, because the reviews and the opening of documents and the constant checking in on people on where they were at on those tasks, getting fully over to monday.com and a task management system, having someone in operations manage all of the tasks, having someone in marketing manage all of those tasks. That was a big mistake I made at the beginning. Hey there, I'm Paige Griffith, your host and an attorney for small business owners. I help online businesses and creatives get legally legit in no time. This podcast is all about the legal and the Paige behind it. I'll break down and simplify legal talk while providing practical business guidance every step of the way. And after over a decade in the entrepreneur space and becoming a mother, I'll also be sprinkling in tips for running a business and giving you a glimpse behind the scenes of what life's really like. As a gentle reminder and disclaimer, I am an attorney, but I am not your attorney. So be sure to seek legal counsel for personalized advice. Welcome to the Legal Paige Podcast. So it's almost the end of July, and there is this motto that I now have in the back of my head playing all the time. And that's time won't slow down, work won't slow down, but you can slow down. And here's the thing, I truly intended to have a slower summer, but it ended up being crazy with all of the work and all of the time that flew by. Work, for example, we did tons of back-end funnels. I hired like crazy in June, and then July, a lot of the new hires started. And so we were onboarding. We got up a massive evergreen funnel and masterclass. Sepia Gate occurred. So then I did a webinar. It was nuts. I feel like I was running at 100 miles per hour. And usually what happens with kind of our business trajectory throughout the year is I work really, really, really hard from about September through May so that I can intentionally have a slower summer. But this summer in particular, it turned out that things were not slowing down like I hoped. And so in this episode, I just really want to get into why that is, some mistakes that I've made in the past when it comes to work-life balance. And hopefully, if you are feeling like some of these mistakes are hitting you right now, I urge you to do things a bit differently in your life as a mother and an entrepreneur if you are tuning in and you have kids. And then I want to give you some tips on really how to turn work off even when you're busy. So let's kind of go back to the end of May. We had kind of a crazy April and May where we were doing two things at the same time. And we always really, really try to work hard for our mid-year sale and then intentionally die down a little bit. I need my team to rest. I need to rest and reset. Summer is one of the best seasons here in Montana where I live. And so I made it a point when I started a business as an entrepreneur, I was like, this is kind of the lifestyle that I want to live. And that's the beauty of entrepreneurship, right? You get to choose your work hours. You get to choose when you take your own PTO, so to speak. And the first couple of years, of course, is just the hustle. It's the grind. You're working really hard. And then as we got into a rhythm and a cadence with the legal page, I realized, okay, we were having kind of two big sales a year, the mid-year sale and the Black Friday sale. And I maybe did things a little bit more heavy come fall and winter because in the fall, a lot of speaking engagements are happening, conferences are happening. That part of my calendar really revs up. And then in kind of January and February is new business owners starting businesses, people that are already in business are working on the back end of their business. And so we get a lot of questions, a lot of inquiries, a lot of people wanting contracts and legal help. They have time as entrepreneurs, and mainly people in the online space and wedding industry just have more time at that period to think about the legal side of running their business. And so if you're feeling me here, what I'm saying is things are really busy from about September through, I would say, the end of November. And then I try to take a slower December as much as I can. My team knows that. I do that also. I might have talked about this on a previous podcast episode before, but I do this as much for me as I do for my team. We have seasons of hustle and we just always have. It's just part of entrepreneurship and doing business, to be frank. When I say that, at the beginning, it's just constant hustle, that's true. But I don't believe in this trend that like entrepreneurship isn't about the hustle and like don't hustle. That's just not who I am. And honestly, not the type of business that we run here at the Legal Page. We absolutely have months and seasons of woof, like going so hard, getting so much done. And my team really thrives on that. And I've had team members and employees that have been here for years and years and years, and then contractors. And it's also a really good way to hire new people is to be like, hey, we have a kind of a seasonal approach to this business. So in December and then in the summer, you're going to see things a little bit slower. And they get jazzed about that as much as I do. Okay, so going back to December, we have a slower period of time. And that did occur this year. I had a baby in December of 2023. So it was kind of an intentional maternity leave slower season. But even if I wasn't on maternity leave, here's the thing. If I don't slow down, I truly feel like my team doesn't have the permission to slow down either. And I really want that for them. I want that for the whole mojo of the Legal Page. So we always take that time in December, and we did this year. I would say we definitely did. And things got a little bit busier come like end of January, beginning of February. And then middle of March, we hit the ground running when I truly came back from maternity leave. We hired an operations manager in April. And so we were onboarding that person. Casey was fully shifting over to marketing director position. And then we were doing basically two massive things at one time. And I talked about this in a previous episode with kind of TLP 2.0 era. And I gave you guys the spiel of what happened kind of the first 5 months of 2024. But what's happened since then, and since I recorded that episode, was I had every intention of having a really slow, or at least somewhat slower, June, July, and August. And especially in July, I always try to take a lot of time off. And this year was just different. For whatever reason, I had a fire under me. I was in full visionary mode, and I was doing a lot more work than I intended to. Not that I didn't want to, because I wouldn't have worked. Truly, if you don't feel like working, you're not going to work. I was excited about a lot of these projects we were doing. I was excited about all of these hires. We had really felt this pull to make a lot more hires by the end of May, because I was managing and doing too many different things in too many different areas of the business. And so was our marketing director, and so was our operations director. And we all just kind of sat down and pieced out, like, these are the things that if this gets off my plate, we are going to be in a much better position. And we are going to actually do what our job description is supposed to be. And so we did that. And then that meant that as the business owner in June, I needed to basically put all of my time and effort into hiring these people. And so I hired a lot, my friends. We hired a customer service person that is almost part-time, about 30 hours a week, but is an employee and fully dedicated to the Legal Page, which I'm very excited about. That person just started kind of mid-July, and it's going really well. I also hired graphic designers in June, and we did a lot of test projects and back and forth, and they're contracted positions where we decided to hire two of them and not just one of them, because they both did such a stellar job on their test projects. And that's going to take a lot off of my plate and Casey's plate, and working in Canva and getting a bunch of just the collateral and graphics out that TLP does basically each and every day. And I feel like I'm spending way too much time in graphic design platforms, and so was Casey. And so that was nice to get off our plate. We also outsourced a lot of website work and back-end we're on Shopify, so we have like a fully coded website, and a lot of custom code goes into this. So we had to hire a Shopify backend website expert kind of on a contract basis as well to help us with some of those, because Casey was spending way too much time on coding and the back end of the website instead of actually focusing on marketing channels and getting marketing up and running. We hired a podcast manager. And as you're listening to this now, you will know that the podcast is up and running every single week, which is super fun. And then we launched YouTube again too. So we're working with our YouTube channel director and video producer on getting all of those out. At the same time, we were also revamping the Ready Set Legal course. It's this legal course that we've had for a while, but I knew I just wanted to re-record it. I wanted to redo all of the slides, redo all of the information, have it fully up to date as of 2024. And so we worked with another video editor on that. And that has now launched by the end of June. And that coincides with our masterclass, because at the end of this masterclass, of course, we talk about contracts and making sure that you have the right contracts in place. And then as a fun little bonus, we offer people the opportunity to jump into the Ready Set Legal course that is now brand new and fully up to date. So all of that got launched the end of June, if you can believe it. And all of the things I just said happened in June, as well as me just like starting out my summer. And we go back and forth to the lake from my hometown. So that was fun. And then I did take a little bit of time off over the 4th of July, just a little bit, like 4 or 5 days. I feel like I've been working every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday pretty consistently this summer. And ultimately, that's just where I'm feeling like I need to slow down, because work is not slowing down. And usually it does. But then the sepia gate thing happened at the beginning of July. And then that took over the photography industry, which is a huge section of our customer base and target market, and something I'm very passionate about because I'm a retired wedding photographer. And so we did a lot of things for Sepia Gate. We launched this massive webinar that hundreds of people came to. And I never do webinars. I never do speaking engagements in July, because I make sure that we're pushing all of that to the end of August, beginning of September. That's a way for me to truly ensure that work is slowing down in the capacity that I can control it to slow down. But alas, we really needed to do this. It ended up going really well for everyone listening. We had really good feedback on the webinar. I also, side note, think we are going to do quarterly webinars now that are focused solely on my legal take on certain situations, business take on certain situations that are really prevalent and poignant at that time. So I'm excited about that. We got a lot of people said you should do these more often. I can't do them once a month. There's just literally, truly no time in the day to be able to do that and run this business and run my law firm and be a mom, which I'm going to talk about here in a second. But yeah, that happened in July. And then I've hired a couple people around town to like help us out a little bit more in our house and with childcare as well. And so there's just so many things happening at once. So that's my as quick as possible rundown spiel of June and July 2024 so far, and why every day I get to 2 p.m., 3 p.m. and I'm like, where did the time go? It takes me a second because I have to sit and remind myself, okay, Paige, how many things did you check off your work to-do list today? And there's a lot. And so I have to make sure I feel good with the output that I have performed that day, knowing that work will never be 100% done. It's just never, ever going to be 100% done. And that took me a while mindset-wise to realize as an entrepreneur. And it truly took motherhood for that to fully instill within me. I know work isn't going to slow down, and time now is not slowing down. And it's so ever present when you are a mom to little kids, because they will tell you that time is not slowing down. They are changing every single day. They are growing up so quickly right before your eyes. And in a week, something new has happened and my toddler's doing something different. And in a week, my baby has learned a new skill. And you can kind of hear it in my voice right now that I intentionally have to slow down myself because time isn't, because work isn't. And if I don't, I'm going to miss out on some of the most important times for me as a mom, for my kids in their childhood, for us as a family. And that goes just so beyond work. Really, truly, entrepreneurship it's like that. And motherhood is like that. Entrepreneurship, there's always going to be projects. There's always going to be fires to put out, new things to do. And so if you aren't careful, you can really let it overtake your personal life. Here are like a few of the mistakes that I have made when it comes to work-life balance. If I'm looking back, 8 to 10 years ago when I first started, I used to see everything as an emergency as an entrepreneur. And that's like those first few years of like hustle. Everything like for me had to get done right then and there. And if it didn't, I felt like a failure and I felt like I wasn't working fast enough. It's this weird, like your central nervous system is just on massive overdrive. And these emergencies you're creating in your head, they truly aren't emergencies. You just think they are. And so I was working all day, every day, because I felt like I needed to. And yeah, I had the time and the space, and I wasn't even engaged at the time that I first started my business. I was living with my now husband, but we just had so much time on our hands. If you're parents and you're listening to this, you get it. Like you think back to 10 years ago, and you're like, oh, gosh. I mean, my husband and I go to bed at night and we're like, do you remember how much time we had? Like, what did we actually do with that time? Because now time is so fleeting and it goes by so fast and we just don't have enough hours in the day. And we all have the same hours in the day as Beyonce. I'm sure you've heard that before. And so it's like, what can you get done with it? And I'm sure, if I'm going to go this analogy with Beyonce, she's doing the same thing, right? Like her time isn't slowing down, her work isn't slowing down, but she has to intentionally slow down. And she did that as well when she had young kids. And now, then before her recent tour, then work was revving up and that was kind of the balance that she was doing or the work-life integration that she was doing. Okay, I digress there. But what I'm trying to get at is massive mistakes that I was making that I don't make anymore, or I truly work hard to not get to the point of burnout and imbalance in a chaotic state. I also felt like I was not taking time for myself back in the day when I was an entrepreneur. And I always tell people that when they are beginning their entrepreneurial journeys, I'm always saying, if you don't take time to give yourself an hour every day, and I don't care when that hour is because it's different for everyone. This whole wake up at 4 or 5 a.m. and get all your stuff done before your kids wake up. That's just not my reality. I like to stay up late and I like to sleep in the morning. But now I always make sure that I have a little bit of time, whether that is to go to a workout class. And for me, that's really important because if I don't get out into a group fitness, group workout class, sometimes I don't even see humans every day other than my family and my immediate household because I work from home and I work remotely as I'm sitting here behind a desk recording, talking to you all through a mic. It's a very strange feeling as an online entrepreneur. But if I don't work out, some days I like to catch up with a friend and make sure that I have coffee dates on my calendar. Sometimes I'll just call my sister-in-law and have a whole conversation for 30 to 45 minutes, just making sure that I am taking time that has nothing to do with work and honestly nothing to do with motherhood. Giving myself space to fill my own cup up so that I am my best self. And I feel like that really allows me to have this work-life balance, work-life integration, however you want to call it. And then the last mistake that I've made in the past is managing my business 24/7. and feeling like I always needed to review things and I needed to touch everything versus actually letting my hires do the job. And that's a control thing. That's a type A thing. I feel like if you're an entrepreneur and you're running your own business and it's a good business, a profitable business, then you're feeling my drift here. Like you probably have at least some of the same personality traits that I do. Maybe you have a couple different Enneagram numbers, but you just feel like you have to at least manage everything and touch everything. And when I say review everything, that is a big, big thing that we have worked really hard on at the Legal Page. And it's taken us years, I would say 2 to 3 years, for my team to be like, Paige, we've got this. Please don't review this, because the reviews and the opening of documents and the constant checking in on people on where they were at on those tasks, getting fully over to monday.com and a task management system, having someone in operations manage all of the tasks, having someone in marketing manage all of those tasks. That was a big mistake I made at the beginning. Of course, when you're a solopreneur, you're wearing all the hats. That's just a reality. That's what's going to happen. But as you start hiring, if I could give you any tip here, a big mistake that I made was not letting go soon enough and quick enough, right? I needed to let go. I needed to let them run and do their job. And yes, they're not going to do it perfect, but if they do it, 80, 90% of what I would have done, it's good enough. It's done. It might not be perfect or my perfect, because I do have some perfectionist qualities, but a lot of that has kind of gone by the wayside as I've gotten older. It's not worth it. It's not worth it to be perfect all the time. I just need to get it out and do my job the best that I can, and have my team members do the job the best they can, get constructive feedback and criticism, and then they're able to do it better moving forward. So those are the mistakes that I've made. And if you're shaking your head at all listening to this, then you probably are feeling maybe some of these things that I've been feeling. And those creep up on me all of the time. I don't do things in alignment every single day. As an entrepreneur, I, sometimes am starting work at 8:30, right when my kids are getting out the door, and I am rushing to go get them at 4:30, 4:45 and in traffic. Like that's life, right? That's life. But when it comes to motherhood and work, you have to learn how to turn off, so to speak, even when the work isn't done. It's this active choice that you make as a parent. And like I said, the work is never going to be 100% done, but your kids they need you. Like your kids are kids and you're their parent. And it's this massive lesson that I have learned over the past 3 years since I have become a mom. And I have 2 little kids, one almost 3, one 7 months. These ages and stages right now are so critical to me. Not just because it's their childhood. And they're, my toddler, my son, he's getting to the age where, I think 3, 4, 5, that's when you start having a lot of memories of your childhood. And so I know that these core memories are their beginning. Maybe not right now, but maybe, right? Like my husband remembers things from his childhood way back when. I don't really remember anything before like 4 or 5. So everyone's a little bit different in that respect. And I'm not some like psychology, mental health, brain expert. I'm not. But what I'm saying is I know as a parent from all of the research and literature I've done on parenthood and listened to different podcasts, these are really critical years here. And obviously you're just trying to raise good humans and you're trying to teach them new skills. And we're trying to deal with emotion regulation with toddlerhood, which is ever a job in our household. And then what I've truly learned is when you have your second kid, you realize how much time flies with your first baby. And my first baby's not a baby anymore. He's a little man, a little dude. And she is just growing up so fast, and you're not only, and I can't be solely focused on her because she's not my only child now. And it's literally going at warp speed is what I'm feeling like. The past 7.5 months have just flown by, and she's different every day. And I just have moments where I'm like, if I wait for things to slow down, I'm going to be waiting forever. Because I have to make this active choice and decide right now I am going to be a mom. I am going to do my motherhood as well. And I want to be the mom that I want to be. And it might be different from my friends and from my mom and how she did motherhood. I definitely know it's a little bit different. I try to emulate her in as many ways as I can because she was such a phenomenal mother. And it's going to be different than my, sisters-in-laws. And it's going to be different than you listening here. We're all going to be doing, if you're a mom, like motherhood a little bit differently. But the one thing that I would press upon you, if you are a mompreneur or, someone who is running a business or has a really, really intense job, maybe you're in W-2 world. Many of you aren't because you're tuning in here as business owners and, running a small business or service provider business in particular. I feel like you give so much to your clients and your customers and the online space and your colleagues and Facebook groups and social media. But what about giving not that same amount of time, but hopefully as close as freaking possible or more to your motherhood and to being the mom that you want to be to your kids? And I have really leaned into that now this summer because to wrap this whole thing up, my entrepreneurial life is going so fast. We're doing so many things. The business is going well. I love what I do. I love being a lawyer. I love being an entrepreneur. I feel like I have 15 business ideas in my head at all time. I am a fully activated visionary. I love thinking about business 24/7. But I really, really also love being a mom. And I love my kids more than anything in the whole world. You look at them and you're like, I'm obsessed with you. Like, I'm so obsessed with these kids. And so I want to make sure that I am turning work off, even when I'm busy. And I've made that choice, even though it has been a crazy busy summer. It is now the end of July, and I feel like I've done a decent job in this crazy time period and, crazy hustle of work season. Again, when I wanted to have a slower summer and I didn't get to have a slower summer, here's the choice that I'm making now at the end of July. I only have a few weeks left of summer. And depending on where you're at in, the United States, a lot of people are kind of getting the back to school scaries and thinking about, okay, my kids are going to go to school or summer is over. Like we get the end of summer scaries as well. I'm starting to get that. Luckily, up here in Montana, we don't start school until the end of August. So we really have the beginning of June is kind of when school gets out through the end of August. And those are truly the best temperatures in Montana, the best time to be outside and recreate. And we go to the lake all of the time and just spend a lot of time away from the normal day-to-day routine here in Missoula where I live. And so I try to make it a point to go up there. And that is something I've done for myself is realized, okay, I only have a few weeks left of summer. I've got maybe 3.5 weeks of August. It has been not so for June and July. I have worked 3, 4, sometimes 5 days a week, which I didn't want to do for June and July. But what I can do is change things up for August. Not that I didn't have intentional mom time in June and July. I did. I would turn things off, and I'm gonna talk about here some tips for you on how to turn off work even when you're busy, because that's what I've done. I'm still busy, and time is flying, and work is not slowing down. But I have to turn off for Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday if I want to spend that time one-on-one with my kids and being a mom and being a wife and, having family time and making core memories. Even if they don't remember them, I will remember them as a mom. It's my motherhood too. So yeah, in August, I'm taking some PTO. I'm making it happen. That will allow my team to slow down and get some projects that has been on their to-do list for a while, because those got put to the wayside with all this other stuff happening the past couple of months. And I'm excited. I am excited for a little bit more of filling my cup up, resting, relaxing, not thinking about work so much. So the first couple of weeks of August, I will not be on the clock as much, which I'm excited about. I will be taking my kids out of childcare and taking them to the lake. It's one of the places, the reason why we got the cabin. It allows me to get away from our house where I work, get away from the day-to-day grind that I am in and the day-to-day routine. And my central nervous system really calms down when I am up there. And that's important to me. And I have way more time that I feel like I'm present with my kids and not on my phone and not getting pinged by work or not thinking about all of the things about, just managing your household as well. And that's something I'm intentionally doing. I am making the choice. But here are a few other tips for you on how to turn off work, even when you're busy, even when time isn't slowing down, work isn't slowing down, but you can slow down. And here's some things for you. So 1, let your phone die. I wrote that down. Honestly, seems really silly, but you know how they say, like, put your phone in a different room, put it in a basket, like put it away. I mean, that's easier said than done, right? And I am not that person. I sometimes intentionally don't charge my phone because if I let it die, then I really can't turn it on and I don't go plug it in. So that's like a really silly trick, but maybe for you, it would be a good one. We always forget like what it was like to not have phones. And I was the final kind of generation who didn't have phones. I didn't get a cell phone until I think I was a junior in high school, and it was like T9 word brick phone. So I was the last generation too to like not really have smartphones. So I remember those days and it was glorious. So sometimes I intentionally make the choice, let my phone die so that I can be present doing XYZ. If you still have your phone and it is turned on, another tip I have is turn notifications off. This might be surprising to people, but I actually don't have any notifications on my phone. And I do this actively so that I am not getting pinged on my phone all of the time. I have to actually go into Slack, go into Voxer, go into Monday on my phone. I don't have pings from my mail that's attached to my phone as well, my email. And then it makes me intentionally be like, okay, this is my time to go check my emails. This is my time to go check social media. And so I don't like those, red flags or whatever. It's also a psychological thing where they're trying to get you to go into the app. And so if you can switch that off and get all notifications off your phone, I highly recommend it. Another tip I have is kind of put your office on a different floor of your house if you are working remotely from home, or a different area of the house if you don't have different floors, so that I call it walking through a threshold. I've always had my office in kind of one of the rooms on the main level. And as we've had kids, I've gotten changed to different areas of the house. We tried to do a garage office. That didn't work so well. And now I am downstairs in the basement, and it's fine. It's not ideal. But for me, it's still, I need the threshold. I can't work from my kitchen table. I can't work from my couch, mainly because I feel like I can't turn my work off. It's like all blended together if I'm in the same room and in the same area of me being a mom and me, contributing to my family and being present with my family. And so I just like this threshold of a door, making sure that I'm walking into my office. Okay, now I'm in work mode. Walking out of my office. Okay, now I am back in Paige mode and motherhood mode and, that doing my own personal stuff. Another tip that I have is setting boundaries with your team members on when to contact you. I wasn't good about this when I first started as an entrepreneur. I've gotten much better at it. I used to just allow them to contact me when it was convenient for them, whether that was sending me a Slack in the evening, sending me a Slack right in the morning. We have lots of people on the East Coast and I'm on Mountain Time, so they're 2 hours ahead of me. And so they would ping me at like 6 a.m., 7 a.m. when they were starting work. And that was inconvenient for me and also made me, if I was on my phone, even though I don't have notifications, like sometimes I would go into the app and then I'd see that they had messaged me an hour ago or 10 minutes ago. And I'm like getting my kids out the door and doing those types of things and just starting my day and filling my own cup up and doing things for myself and my family and my household. Like I don't want to think about work all of the time. And I was really bad about that years ago. I didn't care. I didn't care. There was no boundaries with anyone that was on my team, whether it was a contractor or an employee. And so now we set very clear boundaries. One, don't message me at all costs. Try to come up with the answer yourself or ask someone else that is like the manager of you in our business. So we have kind of a tier, like I'm at the top and, we've got operations and marketing director. And so they are like first point of contact. And then they kind of make the decision, we need to bring Paige into this, or I'll talk to Paige and ask her. And so we have that. That's a boundary. We also have, please, tag me as much as possible in Monday. And then when I get on our task management system, Monday's like Asana or Trello. It's kind of similar, but we use monday.com and I love it. It's the only task management system I've ever liked. So, take it or leave it. My advice on which one to use. I've tried all of them and this one's the best one. But I also, if they ping me there, then they know like Paige will get back to me when she is available and can look at my notifications here on Monday. And then they can Voxer me. Voxer's the easiest way to get a hold of me. That's a boundary because I have one notification on and it's just a pop-up on my phone for Voxer. I set boundaries. I tell people like, do not Voxer me unless it's between 9 a.m. and like 5 p.m. Monday through Thursday, ideally. Please don't message me like crazy on a Friday because I'm probably not going to get back to you until Monday. I'm like slowing down my work week. And in the summers, we take Fridays off of work. I don't know if I said that in this episode, but we do an intentional, act on my behalf of taking a slower summer is we give everyone 4-day work weeks in the summer. So myself and all of my employees get Fridays off and it's paid. It's a little bit of a benefit to them, but it also helps me turn off and have 3-day weekends in the summer, which I prefer as well. Boundaries with team members, like tell them like how you want to communicate, when to communicate. And then if you don't know this already, Slack, you can schedule messages. So you can send messages to your team at 9 a.m. their time. And we have implemented that over the past year, and it has been a game changer with boundaries with team members so that I am turning work on when I want to turn work on, and I'm turning it off when I need to turn it off. Another tip, take your own PTO. I don't know how many entrepreneurs are like, they're taking time off, but they still have their computers and their phones, so they're still working. I know you're working, and you have to take PTO, and then you have to give someone your passwords. And I truly, truly unplug and turn off. And the only way to do that is to get off all my apps and take them off of my phone. And then also literally have my team change the passwords because I am my own worst enemy. And I am probably, even if the app is off my phone and I feel like scrolling or I feel like checking on something, I will re-download it and it will just pop up on my phone if it's the same password and I've saved it, or, if I know the password, I'm going to log in. So take your own PTO, be intentional about your PTO, treat it like your employees would treat their PTO where they turn work off. Do that. You're going to still get paid in some respect as a business owner. So clock in and clock out as much as you can, especially with vacation days. And then get outside and I have 2 more tips for you. So the first one is get outside and play or do something. if I am outside and I am not indoors or in my house or in someone else's house, I have noticed that I'm putting my phone down way more and I'm a lot more present. So I just go do something, whether that's, okay, work is done, my kids are home, I am now going through my threshold and I'm going to leave my phone at home and I'm going to go to the park with my kids. Boom, I've gotten outside, work is turned off. Or at least I'm decompressing a little bit from what happened at work. My mind is probably still rolling, but it allows me to come down from my workday and be a lot more present as a mom and as a person. My very last tip is to meet up with a friend who is not in the same line of business as you, or that is not an entrepreneur. And I've learned it's fun. It's fun to hang out with friends that kind of do the same thing, or they are business owners. But I would bet 9.9 times out of 10, business is going to come up when you guys are conversing and talking. And it just does naturally. Like, you can't help it. It's always on your mind. You're a business owner. You're a visionary. Like, you just want to talk business and talk shop with your friend. But if you are intentionally seeking out friendships that have nothing to do with what you do, have no similar like business interests or like, make money interests. So yeah, I really try to have friends who do like work for corporations and companies, have the traditional W-2 lifestyle, and maybe they're just moms. So we have that similar interest. They have kids around the same age and we all get together and I know that we're not going to talk about work. And then I intentionally make it a point to not talk about my work. If they ask me how work is going, I'll give them like a little spiel and then I'll immediately pivot the conversation into something else, because one of my intentions of hanging out with them was to be a present friend and turn off work, because time is not slowing down, work is not slowing down, but you can slow down. I hope you really liked this episode. I wanted to just give you the 411 on what is going on here at TLP this summer, what I am intending to do for the rest of the summer. And for all of you that are kind of winding up your summer, please try to take some time for yourself, for your family. Fill your own cup up before this crazy fall and winter starts up. I will catch you guys in the next episode. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's show. Be sure to visit thelegalpaige.com for contract templates, blogs, YouTube videos, and additional legal resources. If you haven't already, head over to iTunes and leave me a review and rating. It truly means so much to me to hear your feedback and inspires me to continue creating podcast content. Also, I want to personally invite you to my free Facebook group at tlpfacebook.com, where you will get access to me, my legal team, and thousands of other entrepreneurs in there for unlimited business and legal Q&A. Until next time, my friend.